All right, so you just saw the final build process for this lovely Arduino MIDI fighter. It was really a pleasure to work on this project, and I'm really excited with how it came out. And I just want to talk about a couple things. And first of all, this entire project is going to be fully documented on Hackster.io. Link will be down in the description, either as soon as the video goes up or shortly after. And if you follow me on social media, I'll let you know exactly when it's available on Hackster.io. Just have to finish writing up a couple things. But some of you may be wondering why I decided to go with the red, blue, yellow, and white buttons. Besides the fact, obviously, that they have the LEDs in them, there are definitely hacks to kind of even do like our Adafruit NeoPixels with clear buttons, and like maybe why I didn't go for that. And the reason why is I've actually always wanted to do a project with this color scheme because it's very similar to the color scheme in 2001 Space Odyssey. I've always really enjoyed that aesthetic of like that 70s sci-fi, and they always have these really like super primary colors like happening with the lights on the consoles and everything. So that's actually why when I saw these buttons, I saw the colors. I really was into them. And also kind of going more into the hardware, the housing, why I chose wood and standoffs for this. And it's basically because, I mean, I don't have access to a 3D printer at the moment, or a laser cutter, or a way to easily get acrylic. So I do have a lot of access to a lot of scrap pieces of wood because my dad does woodworking and carpentry. So I just asked if I could have some scrap pieces, which he happily gave to me, and here we are with the housing. And I like that it looks a little funky, you know? I think sometimes with the 3D printing housings, it can all start to kind of look the same. So I'm glad I went with the wood, actually. It was definitely a challenge because then I had to cut the holes out on the top so that the buttons could get through, obviously. And I used a hole saw for that. And also on the Hackster.io write-up, I'll have a lot of detail about how I did the math to cut everything out, because there are ways you can do it with Adobe Illustrator and things like that, and kind of putting like a mat over so that you can just cut through the paper or the stencil. But I went old school with this, all math, all freehand, so I'll detail that in the write-up as well. And then also inside here you can see obviously that everything is soldered to some perf board, but I didn't go with traditional perf board because the way I have the circuit, which you'll also see again on Hackster.io, I did a whole fritzing draw up of the circuit. All of these buttons have to be tethered to ground. They also have to be tethered to 5-volt. They all have 4 pins coming out that need to be soldered to these things, and also like data for both the LED and the actual button so that the LED lights up when the button is pressed, and also the signal gets through to MIDI. And so I ended up going with Adafruit has some breadboard style perf board, so I went with that just because this is also the first time I did kind of a final housing and permanent setup for a DIY project. So this is my first time populating a PCB and soldering, so that's why I went with the breadboard style perf board. It is a little bit pricier than your average perf board, or even like if I wanted to do like a stencil for a custom circuit board. But for beginners, if you're doing a final housing per project, I think that's a great place to start. And it was really easy to solder, and it just kept that like little extra concern over how the project was going to go out of this project, and kind of like eased my mind a bit, knowing that I was just going to be soldering onto that. So that's how I did the final soldering. And so I think overall with this project, I'm just really excited to be at a point with making that I can think of an idea and have it come to life. I think that was definitely like the most exciting part of this project. This is something I've always wanted to make, and I was able to do it fairly easily. I didn't like struggle that much, which is a nice feeling. And I definitely didn't used to be there, even as recently as like a year ago from today, last summer, you know? So if you're like just starting out or struggling a bit with a new skill, maybe you're working on a project with a piece of code that just isn't coming together, and you're ready to like say like, well, screw this, you know, making isn't for me, just keep pushing, you know? Like, it takes a bit for your skills to catch up to your ideas, but when they do, it's really magical, and just keep going, don't give up. So that's my corny PSA for today. But that also wraps up this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, toss me a thumbs up, leave any questions or comments down below. Again, we'll have a full write-up on Hackster.io to give you those extra details in case you want to make something like this, or you're just really into those fine details of making. Find me on social media, links will also be down in the description. Thank you again for watching. Consider subscribing for more content like this. Until next time, this has been Blitz City DIY.